Today, I'm going to download into your brain why you need to know design and what impact that's going to make on your business from today forward for the lifetime of your business. Because I think some business owners think that they can just grab a designer, grab a template, grab a this, grab a that, and they'll be fine to go. But there is so much more to it, and it's going to really impact the way that your business communicates to your audience, how well the investments that you've paid for design actually are utilized if you do pay for a designer. You obviously don't have to. Thirdly, the way that you share your value, the way that you share your professionalism to your audience and how much they want to work with you is all impacted by your graphics. And I think it's so important for a business owner to have their head around this stuff. And so I want to share with you why that is and a couple of things you need to be thinking about so you can make sure that you are doing the best job of your business graphics that you can be. All right, so this is a very relevant episode for any business in any stage of business. So the only reason that this episode wouldn't be relevant to you is if you are a business owner who has a full-time in-house designer who has been working for you for a long time and already understands your business and your needs and your marketing inside out. That's the only time. Or you have a creative director as well as a designer or a really great designer. Otherwise, which I don't think is any of you listening to this podcast, otherwise, this is really, really important stuff. Okay, so there's two different scenarios here. First is a business owner that might have hired a designer to do a particular portion of their graphics. Potentially that's their brand or a couple of social media templates or something along those lines. And then there's a business owner who doesn't have any help. They haven't got the money to hire a designer at all. This podcast is for both of those kind of groups. And so the things I want you to think about first is we need to know design because we're the head of the business. To some extent, we need to be in and around all the different parts of our business. Now, obviously, as your business grows, you need to be taking yourself out of some of those things and delegating more and delegating better. But especially at the start and even throughout the stages of those different releasing of things to different people, you still need to be directing people really, really strongly. You need to have a clear vision and you need to know clearly what you want to be communicating. So I'm going to dart between a few different points right now because they're all quite interconnected. But the first thing I want to discuss is that many times someone will open a Canva template. Maybe they've just found a free one on Canva. Maybe they've purchased one. Maybe they've got a designer to use one. They've found a template and it looks fine. The template itself is great. But if you don't actually know how to use that well from a design principles perspective, then what you create isn't actually going to be looking good, nor is it going to be communicating to your audience. And if you're creating graphics that aren't communicating to your audience, whether that's a social media post, whether that's a flyer, whether that's a website, whatever that is, then it's not going to do your business justice. Now, I'm going to barely talk about at all the point around things looking good. What I'm going to talk about is the strategic part of design because that plays a huge role. Like design isn't just about looking pretty. Design is about communicating. And if your design isn't communicating the message you want to be communicating, there was no point you creating that graphic in the first place. So what I see a lot of the time is that someone will get a template or I'll have designed a template for someone or my team will have designed a template for someone and they get given that template, but they don't know how to use it. And like when you work with me, I send you a tutorial on how to actually use the bones of it, but you're still not understanding the crux of design itself. You're not understanding the principles of design to actually communicate your message clearly. For example, one of the principles I love to teach inside my course is the principle of hierarchy. It's this idea that we get to take our audience on a visual journey through every single visual touch point we have with them, everywhere, whether that's on a website, whether that's a flyer, whether that's a social media post. If there's more than one word of text on that graphic, there's usually some sort of hierarchy at play. Hierarchy is this idea, in a nutshell, that some text is larger than other pieces of text. Some text is going to stand out more than other pieces of text. And you want to make sure that you're really crafting your messaging around taking someone on a journey through what you want them to understand. You want them to understand, maybe it's like, say, if you're promoting a masterclass on jumping, if you've heard me talk about this before, a masterclass on jumping, great example, I'm sure you all want to learn how to jump. Then if I was to have the date as the largest piece of text, this is a really obvious example. If I was to have the date as the largest piece of text for that masterclass, that's not going to capture someone's attention, say on an Instagram scroll. So we need to have the text that's largest that's going to capture their attention of learn how to jump or something that's more catchy than that, but I'm not a copywriter. So learn how to jump. And that text needs to be the largest because when someone's interested in learning how to jump, that's the text they're going to be gravitating to first, not the date. They don't want to know about the date or the pricing or where to buy tickets until they know what the masterclass is and why they actually need it. And so from a perspective of whether you have templates, whether you have graphics, whatever it is, if you don't actually understand how to communicate your message clearly through design and the power of design, then it's going to all fall in a heap. If you don't know how to add like boxes of color and contrast behind a piece of text, or how to make text really, really large, and really think about that from a strategic perspective of stopping when you create your graphic and asking yourself, what am I trying to communicate? How can I make sure that the message I want to share is actually coming through in this particular graphic? And that takes time, that takes strategy, and that takes thinking and execution. And so there's a few steps here. It's firstly, what graphic do I want to make? Like, what am I going to be promoting? So for me, just before it was, I want to sell tickets to my masterclass on jumping. Secondly, I need to actually think about, what do I need to communicate to get people to want to join that masterclass? Do I need to communicate that jumping is a really important lifelong skill because of X, Y, and Z? Do I need to communicate the price of it, when I buy tickets, when it's going to be, all those things? And then it's about taking that information and placing that hierarchy around it, of deciding what's the most important thing. How can I lay this out in a really user-friendly, attention-grabbing way so that I'm just not missed? Because if we have content that people just scroll past because they don't realize it's relevant to them, then we're unable to communicate our point. We're unable to communicate that we're running a jumping masterclass because people just aren't seeing that. It's not making sense to them. They might scroll past your graphic because it doesn't feel relevant to them because we haven't communicated that well. And so there's those steps of deciding what we want to communicate, what text we need to use, what the hierarchy of that is, and then we get to the design side of things. These bits of thinking are also included in design. And if you don't know how to do that thinking and think that stuff through really strategically, then either one, you can't do it for yourself, or two, you can't direct your team on how to do that. So many times I get given text as a graphic designer and I can tell that the business owner hasn't actually thought about their messaging very clearly. And so I need to do that as a graphic designer, which not all graphic designers have that strategic thinking. And if they don't have that strategic thinking, then they're not able to actually lay out the design in a way that's going to call to your audience. It's a whole thing. And so once you kind of then know those things and you know that hierarchy of that text, you can then use things like that sizing and the positioning of putting text at the top rather than the bottom, or using really large text at the bottom, even though it's the biggest piece. Like, it's a whole thing. I can't go into it now because I could talk about it for a whole hour, but really learning to think about that strategy side of things. And that doesn't just come from a cool Canva template. That comes from knowing how to use design strategically to communicate your message. And so that's one of the main reasons I really believe all business owners, no matter how large or small, need to understand design so that they can either do it well themselves or communicate that well to their team. The second reason I think the business owners need to know design is because, as I said at the start, unless you have a full-time designer at your beck and call, online business moves fast. If you're an online business owner, particularly for social media, it moves so quickly. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. But I know for me, sometimes I have this really ripper idea and I want to post that out this afternoon onto my social media. But if I didn't have the skills to create that myself, I would have to send off that brief to a designer, wait for the designer to say, yes, I can create that for you, then send them through all of the different bits and pieces, that maybe pay an upfront invoice, maybe sign a contract, then they might start designing for me, then I do a couple of back and forth changes, and by the time we're finished, a good turnaround would be a week. And then the momentum might have gone. And so being able to do stuff really quickly on your own is really, really powerful. I'm a retainer designer. My team is a retainer designer studio for other businesses. And even those other businesses do their own graphics on occasion. They use templates that we might have created. They use a brand that we've created for them. So it's a really great looking thing. But they actually have the skills. They know how to use Canva and they know the rough basic principles of design so that they can actually post stuff out when they need to. They can add a new slide to that PowerPoint presentation for that masterclass they just had that idea for that they want to quickly do before they present the masterclass in 2 minutes time. They could never have got their designer to do that quickly, or make that cool story post, or make that cool reel, or make that cool Instagram post. Doing that stuff and being able to have the skills to do that on the fly is going to help to not slow business, not keep stumping it and not keep kind of getting it in the way of the momentum that you're feeling as a business owner of, I've got this great idea, I want to action that, to, oh wait, I need to wait for the whole process to happen. That's good, and it's a good rhythm to get into is having that slower momentum and building that processes into your business, building the processes in. But but occasionally you don't have time for that. Occasionally you just need to action something, and having the skills to be able to do that really well is going to pay a big difference. Because you can imagine if you were to have a couple of really great posts and then all of a sudden your designer was like, I can't do this anymore, or you had a really great idea and then the post you posted next because you had to design it looks really rubbish, that's going to damage your business's credibility. that's going to damage your customer loyalty. That's going to damage the professionalism of your brand. And so if your skills, they don't have to be as good as a designer, or they don't have to be as good as the initial templates you got, or whatever it is, but as long as it's not detracting from the level of quality, then it's going to be something that mixes in with your content strategy and your systems and the way that you show up. So knowing design as a business owner is really powerful, because you can use that momentum. You can act quickly when that time comes and when it's needed. And for every single business that I've ever worked with, even the ones that have me on retainer, which means that I work with them really regularly and they can message me at any time for a graphic, they still need that quickness. That I just want to put something out there, because I have a life too. I have other clients to service. I'm not just at their beck and call 24/7 to do something immediately. I'll do it as quick as I can, but it can't be immediate. And when you're a business owner, you can do that immediately. The next thing I want to share is even just the things around the technicalities of design. So say, for example, I give you a Canva template for a social media post, but you don't know what format to save that in, or you don't know how to move that from your Canva on your computer to your Canva on your phone, or you don't know the difference between a vector file and a pixel file, and you're making the wrong size graphics, or your things are kind of really pixelated because you used a pixelated photo rather than a really clean vector file that I actually gave you, but you didn't realize what that was, so you didn't know how to use it, so you didn't use it, and then all of a sudden it's all really messy. Or you want to do an email header from, maybe I gave you a social media template and you're like, that would look really good as an email header. So you resize that and you put it in your email, but then you don't realize that you need to save an email header really small. And so that means that your email is getting, your file is like really big, and it means that it's getting blocked and marked as spam in people's inboxes, and it damages your email deliverability, and it's all sad. And so there are lots of little intricate little bits to know as a business owner, because again, as online business owners, we, especially at the start of our businesses, and me still now 10 years in, I have my finger in all of the pies. I run my emails, I run my social media, I do lots of those things. I have help with different parts, but on essence, I'm doing most of those jobs myself. And I need to know how to save the file in the right size. I need to know that I need to compress that file, otherwise it's going to slow down my website. I need to know how to print that brochure that's a special fold, because if I don't print it like this with the bleed marks, it's going to have a weird white border and it's going to be this and that and going to get cut off. All of these things we don't know unless we know. And if we do them wrong, then it's kind of, if we've paid, especially if we're paid for a designer to do original graphics, then we're kind of wasting the money we spent there. And we're also, what we share isn't quality, isn't good, isn't professional. And so knowing those things, knowing the ins and outs of file types, knowing the ins and outs of colors and printing and bleed marks and so many different things. And I teach all of these things in my online courses, in my course DIY Design My Business. There's modules on file types and designer ins and outs and design principles and all these things that you need to know on a really basic, easy to understand level, so that as a business owner, you can actually do these things and do them well, rather than getting a great design or making a great design and then the execution isn't there because you didn't know how to save the file, or you didn't know how to print the file and all these different parts. So that's why I really believe that as a business owner, we need to know these things, whether you're creating them yourself, whether you're getting a designer to do it and you're doing the final printing, or even if you're directing a designer to do it, you need to make sure that you understand that actually I need this in print and I need this on a web format, and I need you to please save this in a small format because this is actually going on my emails. If we don't specify those things to a designer, they're not going to know those things. And so if you know those ins and outs, you can specify those things clearly to your designer. So that's a really, really important one that I want to make sure that you understand. And so before we wrap up today, I want you to know that if you are ready and wanting to know these things for your own business, if you want to know how to use design to communicate your message, to use hierarchy, use contrast and balance and all these things I haven't even mentioned yet, if you want to be that person that can design things really quickly and on the go for your business, that even if your business scales, you have those skills in place to not ruin everything a designer might have made for you, to not ruin the templates you paid so much money for, to not get caught up in having to wait for a designer for a few weeks to get that design to you. And if you are really wanting to understand on that basic level of how you can actually save the right files and understand formats and printing and all those things, then I have some things that I want you to know about, because I am currently have 30% off. If you're listening to this before the end of November 2024, I have 30% off my online course. I have 30% off also my one-on-one offer, which I'll explain in a moment as well in case you're interested. And I also have my design studio if you want to hand everything over. But again, I really, really highly believe in knowing these things. I actually had someone come to me this week. We designed some social media templates for her and they were so great. And she's actually using them pretty well. But she came to me and she's like, do I need to join your course as well? And I'm never going to say, yes, you must join my course, but I will tell you it's going to be helpful. It's going to be helpful because of all these reasons I've shared now. So if you're a business owner who's ready to actually take advantage of design in your business because you want it to grow, or as a client talked to me today, you want it to explode, you want it to feel really something that's confident to you and something that you can actually use on an everyday basis and not be held back by it, not be ashamed of, not be thinking that your graphics are holding you back, then my course DIY Design My Biz is for you. It's a online course, totally self-paced, 8 beautiful modules of me talking through all of these things, but in short kind of content pieces, so you don't have to be totally overwhelmed. And it's designed like literally someone joined, was it like 3 days ago? And she's already up to module 6. And module 8 isn't really a real module. That's just lots of tutorials on like business card tutorial, social media tutorial, Facebook cover tutorial. Like you don't really have to go through that like a course. You kind of just dip in and out as you need things. She's already up to module 6. She's already almost finished her logo. And so like it's just really cool to watch people. So the point of me saying that is it's not a long program that's going to take you years to finish. It's a really succinct, bite-sized program designed for business owners, not designed for designers. It's designed for business owners so that they can learn the parts that they need to learn. Not everything. I don't go through every single thing around design that you don't need to know. I talk about the things that I know that business owners need to know and how to do all those things in Canva, how to save things in Canva, how to actually work around the programs that you have and do those well. So that program comes with lifetime access to the program. That means for as long as the course is in existence, you get access to it. I'm not planning on closing it anytime soon. You also get 12 months of support from me. Like literally today we had a call and there was 2 people that joined. We have one of these calls we have 2 calls every month of 2 different time zones suitable because I make sure it suits anyone in the world. And 2 people joined and they literally got half an hour each of me working on their brand for them, included in the price of this course. Usually that would be worth at least $500 for a half an hour session. And so that was pretty cool. I had so much fun. We pretty much almost finalized 2 logos in that session. Anyway, the point of that saying is you get monthly calls with me, you get support inside the Facebook group for a year. And so there's that support piece and there's that education piece. And both of those are coupled together in a course that you can join now for $97 Australian. That's payment plan option. And if you're in the US, I'm pretty sure it's down to like $60 between taking off GST and the conversion rates, $60 per month for 8 months. And it is a program that you get lifetime access to, and you can actually learn all of these key things that you need to learn to make sure that your business is going to succeed. And if you would like more support from me, if you're like, no, Jacqui, I want to learn that stuff, but I also want your help really, really in depth. I actually have just released a program, like a little coaching package called One-on-One VIP Brand Express, and you and I will have 2 long calls together. We'll be going to design your brand together. If you're unsure and you don't want to go through stuff alone, even though you get the support of me inside the DIY Design My Biz course, it is still self-led. If you want me to lead the process, if you want me to help you think through the strategy of deciding on your target audience and helping you research and helping you create, then make sure you jump on that VIP Brand Express. I've only got 5 places left for that. I'm going to go on maternity leave at the end of March or the start of March. And so there's not many places left to work with me one-on-one until late 2024, maybe 2025. And so if you're interested in that more support, that's where you can grab that package from. You can also couple that with the DIY Design My Biz for a really great rate. You can just get the coaching if you want to, but I do obviously always recommend to have that course as something you can refer to and grow through as well. Or if you just want someone to do all the designing for you, we have my studio as well. And we're about to have a price rise. At the end of November, we're going to be lifting the prices on all of our offerings. And so if you want design done for your business, whether that's a brand, whether that's social media templates, whatever that is, and you just want that done for you, then you can hand that over to us and we'll take that away for you. So you can book that in now and grab the price that it is now, but you don't have to actually use that straight away. But you have to book that in. And so those are the 3 offers. If you either want help DIYing, if you want support to actually co-create with me and design together, there's that VIP package available, the course available, and then there's the studio available as well. And so all of those things, either price rise coming or 30% off. Yes, which some of those things means it's $500 off. And I would just love to have you because I really believe that design is such an important part of your business and it's going to help your business to grow when it's done right. When we're just fudging around and we're feeling ashamed of what we're doing, when we're wasting hours on Canva, going around in circles and creating stuff we're not even proud of, and that our audience isn't even attracted to, that people just scroll past, that's a real shame. Whereas I want to help you to utilize design, to utilize Canva, to use it in a way that's going to grow your business, in a way that supports you, in a way that doesn't suck all of your time, in a way that can actually be there for you now and while you scale your business. So there's going to be a link in the show notes and a link in the description. You can just head to diydesignmybiz.com/Black Friday. Those 3 deals are there. You can either do DIY by itself, VIP package by itself, or you can do the VIP package plus DIY or just work with the studio. There's lots of options. And if you are unsure of which option is best for you, send me an email at jacqui@whyyyyy.com.au and I will literally talk it through with you and we can work out what's best. But please make sure you get onto that before the end of November for the Black Friday sale. So thank you for joining me today. Make sure that, you're really working out where you need to grow in your business. Do you need to learn how to communicate better through design? Do you need to learn the file types and learn how to actually save things correctly or to use the right kinds of graphics in your designs, or even trademarking? All of those things we need to understand. And do you know how to actually do stuff quickly and on the go so that you can control that and be at the head of that momentum for your business? So thank you for joining me today. Make sure you jump on those Black Friday deals if you are interested, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.